Hey guys, so I will be talking about the Tax Cuts and Job Acts of 2017, which was passed by Republican President Donald Trump in December of 2017, also known as the tax reform, as it reduced many of the required taxes on individuals and corporate businesses. One of the biggest things that it did was temporarily replace the existing tax brackets with newer, lower taxes. So if you were paying 15% on your income level, you are now paying 12%, and if you're paying 25%, then you're paying 22%. Corporate tax rates were also lowered from 35% to 21%, which, due to this lower tax rate, it encouraged the corporate businesses who had been investing overseas to come back to the U.S. and invest in America, which is incredibly beneficial to the U.S.'s economy, as corporate businesses were a great reason why the economy is so great in America today. Another thing that it did was it increased the child tax credit, which was introduced by George W. Bush during his presidency and was minimized during Obama's presidency. This act made it to where each child in the family, a qualifying child, got $2,000 in child tax credit, which is incredibly beneficial, especially for families with a large amount of children, because this credit helps them pay for many things that a child may need. This act also affected pastor businesses, which are also known as individually owned businesses, who in the past their income tax was dependent on the individual owner's income rather than seen as a business income tax. So these corporate businesses were paying almost double what these pastor businesses were having to pay, because these pastor businesses were dependent on the individual rather than the business, which is incredibly unfair for these corporate businesses, because these pastor businesses are still seen as businesses and they should be required to pay a higher tax because of that. Another thing that it affected was the corporate businesses received more money for expenses. So it went from $500,000 to $1 million for these businesses, so they can pay for new printers, new computers, new buildings for their for their employees, and this helps flourish these corporate businesses more. Another thing is, because of these less taxes on these corporate businesses, the corporate businesses have more money to give to their employees, which is incredible because most of the citizens in America are employees of corporate businesses, believe it or not. Even when this act was passed in 2017, in late 2017, the businesses gave huge bonuses to their employees in celebration of this, because now they have more money to give to their employees, which they rightfully deserve as they work for their businesses. Another big thing that it did was it repealed the individual mandate to buy healthcare insurance under the Affordable Care Act. So this idea that Obama brought, Obamacare, that every single person in America was required to have health insurance. And if they did not want to have health insurance under a private insurance company, they would use Obamacare and they would pay through their taxes. And this was very unfair for people who didn't really use their health insurance a lot. Just imagine a couple who were just recently married and they're 22 years old, never have been sick, or they haven't been sick in years. They might use health insurance maybe once a year, but it is completely different from them to an older person or just an older couple who maybe one of the people have to go to the doctor once a month. They have to do checkups because they're older. Maybe one had a heart attack. Maybe one broke a bone or something. These older people are using the health insurance more than these younger people would be using. So just this idea that these younger people are paying for insurance that they're not even using, versus the older people who are paying and actually using it. So it's just this thought that maybe the younger people are even paying for these older people's health insurance because of that. And it was not fair to require every single person to have health insurance. And because now that not everyone has to have health insurance, the uninsured, there's more uninsured, which means the people who are insured in health insurance, they receive higher health insurance premiums. So they are able to pay for more. So maybe a health insurance company gives $1,000 more to someone who is insured, So that could help them pay for if they have to do radiation for cancer, or if one of their kids breaks a bone. And this helps a lot with especially emergency moments like that, or unexpected things. Oh, and also because the taxes on businesses is a lot smaller, it is a lot easier to start a new business because of this. As in the past, starting a business was almost astronomical because the prices were so incredibly ridiculous, and the taxes on corporate businesses were just unbelievable. And just this liberal agenda that corporate businesses running the economy is dangerous is just beyond unbelievable. As just imagine a corporate business that you don't support. Maybe there's something that you don't like about that corporate business. You could easily stop funding them. You can stop consuming them, and they'll go away. They'll die off if everyone agrees to not consume for them. But what the Democrats don't understand is that if we want to depend on just the government to be our corporation, to be our business, if there's something that the government does that we don't like, there's no running away, as we are citizens in America who are required by law to follow what they mandate us to do. So it is a lot harder to run away from one single corporate business as the federal government, rather than multiple who are investing in America and running this country. And so, as a Republican, I fully support this act as it benefited many corporate businesses, but also individuals. Thank you.